Good morning, everybody. Excited to be here today and more excited to be invited to come back. This is my second time here at this summit and learned a lot last year and excited to see what I could learn this year. So, want to talk a little bit about who Ameritrust is first, just to give you some context. We are a credit union in the Midwest. We are in Wichita, Kansas, and in Denver, Colorado, with an asset size of $4 billion and 33 branches across Kansas and Colorado. We have just went through recently a merger, so we doubled in assets. Curious from the show in the room, is anybody consumer-facing financial services like a bank or a credit union? Great. Are you similar asset size? Just kind of curious.
10 billion.
Okay. Bigger. Okay, bigger. Great. Okay. It helps me kind of understand the audience. So a little bit about me. I'm the Vice President of Growth Strategies. These are the different verticals that I oversee at Ameritrust. Comparable to many financial institutions that are here, Ameritrust is considered small. In the credit union world, depending on who you act to, we're kind of more mid-sized to bigger. But I oversee our digital marketing, our marketing strategies, our growth analytics and customer analytics arm, as well as our CRM development. As the title says, we have built our own CRM in-house, so that's one of the areas that I oversee. And I also oversee our digital engagement. So today, I'm focusing around our CRM, but I think it was important to share kind of the lens I'm coming through because I also oversee a lot of our growth strategies, our media buying, and things like that. So I'll take you back a couple years to why Ameritrust decided to buy a CRM in the first place, and I think that's a really important part of any story for people that are really trying to solve their current CRM problems or looking at implementing a CRM at their credit union or financial institution. I think that it first starts with strategy. Many people think, I need to buy a CRM. I go out to conferences, I meet other CEOs, and they like, oh yeah, we've got CRM as a thing on our checklist for things to buy. They think it is a technology problem. It's so much more than that. You really are not going to implement a successful CRM strategy if you don't take the time to really understand what a CRM is going to do for you. So we knew we needed one. We knew it was going to solve some problems with sales and marketing and alignment, like all the benefits that a CRM is going to bring to you as an organization. But we really needed to set our North Star. And we are a very competitive bunch at Ameritrust. And so we wanted to, what do we want to do? We want to win. We were in a no-growth market in Wichita, Kansas, but we were the largest credit union in the state. And we needed to still continue to grow and continue to steal market share. Now we're in Denver with the merger as of August 1st. But when we came up with this concept, it was really in part to understand we needed to know our customer data. And we also knew whoever knows their customer best wins. And I don't know if you guys all have a very similar strategy, but this is it's a customer data play, and it helps set the entire strategy of our CRM, our roadmaps, everything we were doing going forward. So I'm going to dive into a little bit of that and share some data with you about how we tackle whether the CRM is even providing value, and then how I turn that into buy-in and then adoption to my credit union. So, out of curiosity, who here has a CRM that they're currently using or implementing? If you could show your hands, raise your hands. Okay, leave your hands up if you feel like it is super successful and you guys are getting all the value out of your CRM. Okay, we have one wavy hand. That is so common. And actually, so there are a ton of studies out there. So if the data's here, Harvard has a recent one that says 50% of all CRM implementations fail. So this is a problem, right? Like, I don't know about you guys, but if I knew I was starting this journey with a 50% fail rate, that probably, that doesn't bode so well for leadership. And so, and all of the studies we've read, including this one, it comes down to a lack of strategy and ownership, no executive support, poor data quality, and then that really leads to a failure of adoption of your sales team and your teams that are using your CRM that have member touch points. Do you guys all, everyone that didn't have, the best experience with your CRM, do you think that that's an alignment? Do you feel that that's an alignment of what's the problem? It's not a technology problem, right? So it's a culture and like so many things. So what do I think sets our CRM apart is really that we decided to kind of go with that first strategy of it's customer data, it's sales, it's whoever knows the customer best wins, and we never wavered from that. And so that really helped us set roadmaps and all of the other things that we need to find success. We also, I'm going to talk a little about executive support and our product team as well as systems integrations. But to really dive into that strategy, one thing that we did was decide to build it our own. We looked at a few of the big shops, Salesforce, those things, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with buying one off the shelf. That was just a choice that we made to build one on our own. We use an overseas development group that allows us to spin up developers as we need them and spin them down through different different development cycles, and that really allows us to get the customization that we're looking for and build what we want. But regardless of what partnership you have, it's important to have the people at your financial institution having a very close relationship with whoever's building your CRM. So whether you're buying one off the shelf or not, that's huge. So if you have a team that's responsible for making the success of your CRM, around your organization, having them, they should be going to those conferences. They should be on advisory board panels and things like that with that organization, right? So if you're using Salesforce, if you're using HubSpot, they need to be going to those conferences and really involving themselves. They need to understand the roadmap of those the features that are coming out and things like that. Because we do make our own product, we have a roadmap that we stick to, that we share and communicate internally and externally with our providers. That roadmap is the Bible for what we're doing. We don't build it out for 1 month, we build it out for 5 years. And we treat it just like we have a product that we have to sell in the consumer world that we don't, right? We have release notes, we do the whole thing because it's so important to make sure that we are showing up like a product that provides value. The other thing that we do is make sure that we adopt that MVP mindset. Sorry. And that is, the 80-20 rule, minimum viable product. We had to introduce that to our culture at Meritrust. That was not something that was well received at the beginning. People wanted to go live with everything being 120%, especially our business leaders. They wanted it to be 120% complete, and we needed them to be okay with it being 80% there, and then we continue to reiterate. We also are quick to iterate. We like to turn quick wins into buy-in. No one internally, our sales leaders, they don't really care about our database overhaul for restructuring our field names and our API. They don't care about that. What they do care about is making sure that we're filling their team's sales funnels. So we oftentimes meet with them, hear their problems, and continue to spend time with them to understand what are those small wins that can turn into big wins for them. And I think, the end of the day, a CRM features only really matter if your sales teams use them. So that's really, really important. Don't get lost in your architecture. And do you guys hear that echo? Sorry. So don't get lost in your architecture and your databases and all of those things that are very important because that's what I would want to work on, and make sure that you're finding those quick wins. And most importantly, you have to learn how to say no to all of the million requests that come in through your business partners. Because we decided to build it ourselves, we were getting that meant like infinity options, right? Like people are like, oh, you can build me anything. Well, I was getting requests to make party planning software and solve accounting's data modeling problem for profitability and do all these things. And back to the whoever knows the customer best wins model or mantra, that was an easy no because it didn't have anything to do with our customers and sales and customer data. So executive support, pretty straightforward. You have to have your CEO going around and saying, you got to use it. No choices for us, especially because we didn't have a CRM that we were replacing. It was a new concept. So you've got to have that buy-in for anything new. And and that's the top-down approach. And then from the bottom up, that is where we use filling their sales funnel, making them happy, making it relevant. So product ownership, also very important. You have to have a team that's dedicated to making your CRM successful. You have to maintain it and develop new processes. You cannot let it go stagnant, and then they have to manage your roadmap. And then you have to also, the last two, this one, the product and the system, those are technical components, right? That is an important feature. You have to have the great technical pieces solved. I think that you've got to figure out what your non-negotiables are. One thing that really surprised me in this space for CRMs is that there are a lot of people out there willing, and I don't know if that's in more of the small to mid-sized regionals, that are willing to have a CRM that doesn't integrate to anything, or have a CRM that maybe batches on a daily SFTP drop. Those things are not at the speed of customer data, and you have to have these connected to your core. You have to have them, for me, it was a non-negotiable to go live with the single sign-on. I didn't want them, it was a barrier to entry and to log in. So all of those things were put into place to make sure that we got as much adoption as we potentially could. We also connect to our lending systems, all these disparate systems. It needed to be connected, and we also have a data warehouse that was very vital to this process. So a little bit about some of the data and the success in here. And some of this data we're just starting to get back. Some of it's stuff that we've been working with for a little while. So excited to kind of share with you guys these little mini case studies. One of the things that I wanted to share was this concept of how we measure engagement. And then I'll bring it back to the CRM. So at Ameritrust, we used to measure engagement through a very binary way, and many credit unions were doing this too, probably smaller regional banks, where they were just saying if members have X amount of products or this product but not these products, they were considered engaged. Previously, you could have had a checking account, but no, you could have $5 in there and not use it. It would be still, in our old definition, it was a yes, no, they had that, they were considered engaged. We knew that wasn't getting us anywhere from a strategic point of view, all the different things, sales, all this, nothing could really drive it because it didn't really tell you anything. But it was a board metric. So we flipped that model upside down and decided to go with this concept of engaged member pillars. We call it our save, spend, borrow, plan, manage, engaged member definition. You have to our members they can have up to 5 points, and they have 2, and if they have 2, they are considered engaged. And you can see it's a lot more behavior-based, right? So now a member has to have 7 swipes in their checking account for that pillar to still be activated. They have to have money actually in their savings. It's not just they have a savings or not. So for a member, their definition changes every single day, and that helps us understand at the speed of business, how somebody is engaged with us and what we need to do with them. And that leads us to our CRM. What do we do with that data, right? What's the point of having this engaged member data if you're not going to put it in your frontline staff to effect change? So in quarter 1 of 2024, we went live with our new definition, got our board bought in. So now our leadership's bought in because they're being held accountable by our board for this new definition. But then our leadership said, okay, we're going to change our entire sales staff's incentive package based around this. Within a month, we were live with this in the CRM. So that's the power of the quick to iterate, really find those valued items that matter to our frontline staff. This is their pillars. If it's lit up, it's they're activated. If they're gray, they're not. And our frontline staff is trained. If it's gray, they're on it. They're trying. Again, it's not binary. Yes, they have a checking account. No, they don't. That was the stuff the CRM already told them. It was, are they using them? And based on the profitability that we, and I did forget to mention, we built this in conjunction with finance. So finance is bought in to this model and how it ties back to the bottom line. and then retail's bought in because it's tied back to their paycheck. And so the engaged member pillars show up within a month. They're on our screen, and now you can see when a member walks in or calls or whatever, how they're engaged with us right at their fingertips, right? They don't have to go look it up in a different report. That's never going to happen when they're servicing them. But what happens to our data? That's the important part, right? Does anything change? Are we affecting change by deploying a new resource on our CRM, a new development item? The answer is yes. We went live, and I know you can't probably see this, just the quarter before, and then with the engaged member concept. We always look at historical, so we're showing you how the behavior acts over time. And then right where the little, I call this a turkey, because it kind of looks like a turkey, you can call it a peacock, it says CRM redesign, you can see the spike of what happens when our frontline staff has this data at their fingertips. They immediately affected change like we've never had before when it comes to increasing engagement with our members. And all they needed was the data and maybe an incentive change. In addition to that, we put out a new release the beginning of this year for a campaign module in the CRM. This is our save pillar. This is getting more deposits in. We wanted to see if that changed over time, right? We're not just looking at again, did we open 15 more savings accounts or whatever the goal, may be, that more, did we do it or did we not? We wanted to see, are we actually changing engagement? To get the save pillar, you have to keep money in a savings account at Ameritrust. You don't just it's behavior-based, right? And you could see we had a 1.6 thousand amount increase in our save pillar during that campaign. And it was the first time, it's very cyclical, savings periods are very cyclical in your balance sheet. You can see that over time it's the first time that we've been able to actually increase it and make a change, which is kind of crazy given our current economic environment and people's ability to save at this time, especially with the cost of goods and inflation. Before I move on to my next section, any quick questions about this? Welcome for audience questions. Okay, the next one, this was our more recent study. This was based on the relationship between profitability and our CRM. We wanted to know, so we had that data, we knew our releases could impact the bottom line. We knew that we could affect engagement. We knew that we could see changes in each pillar every time we did something that was a quick win in our minds, because these were actually really easy development items. But we wanted to know, does it lead to an overall stronger relationship? And so we created 2 cohorts. We wanted to look at people with a CRM engagement touchpoint and without. Essentially, has our frontline staff been working with them in the CRM or not? We wanted to just look at those 2 behaviors independently. Here's what we found. Our members have, yes being yes, they've been in the CRM, members have been engaged within the CRM, and no meaning they haven't. They have a 25% higher engagement score. It's really, this to me is very, very interesting. And the reason why is because we've been trying to move that overall engagement score up by 0.02 basis points each year, and it is hard because your denominator keeps getting bigger if you're good at growth. And a lot of people come in at one engagement point, and then we spend time to cross-sell and upsell them. So the more you're putting on, especially with us in a credit union world, like an indirect loan, they're coming on with one pillar, one engagement point. And so to get that up to that number is really high. To see a 25% difference in those 2 cohorts really surprised me. Deposit balances, 59% difference. This is all about making sure, this is us making sure our frontline staff is using the CRM to its fullest capabilities. They're making sure they're building relationships. The left hand knows what the right hand's doing. We're filling their sales funnel with leads that are relevant to them. And they're able to affect change with these types of campaigns and activities. Loan balances, not that high, but still a difference, 9% difference. I think the important part when really diving into this data and really looking at it, and we're going to go a lot further as a credit union to understand these behaviors if we're seeing it at certain branches, different channels, more so maybe in call center or branch or vice versa. We're going to dive into this to really understand the impact here. But I think the importance for me is just wondering, did all of this investment of deciding to build our own CRM, did it help? Or was it on the other side of that Harvard research study, is it a flop? And I really feel strongly that today we have been able to really make a change in our culture and how we leverage our CRM. So I'm going to go into some questions. Really hope to hear from you guys. I really want to hear what questions you guys have about what we're doing. But I think one thing I wanted to leave with you today is that, I've mentioned before, technology isn't the problem with a CRM implementation. It never is. Every single one of the platforms out there is very capable of solving your customer relationship problems. It really is your ability to influence your financial institution, right? Otherwise, it's just an expensive contact list, and who wants that? So please connect with me. There's my LinkedIn profile. If anyone would like to talk anything CRMs, would be happy to hear from you. But yeah, I would like to take some questions from the room. Yeah, please.
So you talked a lot about how this helped like the frontline staff. Did you do any outbound strategies like email to proactively engage?
Oh, yes, for sure. So we have a marketing automation strategy like so many of us in this room. We do drip campaigns, onboarding. Because I use a lot of data from the CRM and our transactional data, and I know some of you guys aren't consumer-facing financial institutions like with checking accounts, but we have the pleasure of having access to checking account data, which means we really know where people are spending your money and where you spend your money. Boy, you can sure know a lot about somebody. And so we cleanse those transactions and build we call them KLIs, key lifestyle indicators, like basically our own segments and cohorts, and then we know how to drip, and we create campaigns around what we think we should offer them at that time. And then we obviously use CRM data based on that as well, right? So like the frontline staff will do a questionnaire intake rate. They're coming in for a savings account. They'll collect where the other credit, where they have a checking account or loan and stuff like that. We use that data as well to help cross-sell and upsell. And then we do a lot of in-app marketing as well. That's very, very tailored to the consumer. So we don't just do blasts. We will make sure to do marketing offers through that channel as well. But I think that the power of filling the sales funnel for your staff with really qualified leads is really what got us from low to medium adoption to much higher adoption. And it doesn't hurt that the CEO actively tells people they have to do it. Really, that is I've talked to so many other people at conferences and other things like that. If I've mentioned the CRM, like at another talk or something like that, and they're like, oh, we just couldn't get any, traction. We couldn't get people to use it. I'm like, well, did you tell them they had to? So that was, I know that seems silly, but you want to build a culture that you don't have to do it that way, but at the same time, there's a lot of competing priorities, so you do have to make it a priority if you're going to invest in something like this. Yeah, please.
I already have the mic. My question is, you mentioned different channels you're doing CRM with, and I'm curious, do you find one channel is better than the other, or one has more engagement rate, or one has more, better more positive sentiment than the other? Yeah,
the different, email, that kind of stuff, those channels?
Yeah, email, push, or any other things you're doing.
The humans are going to always get more traction when it comes to actual conversions. Emails do a lot better for us on our skewed older demographics. Our push notifications do extremely well with engagement. We have I think 80% of our members actively using our online banking tool. That demographic looks more like the people that respond to that look more like our whole membership. So the average age of our whole membership is 41. Our push notifications and in-app notifications are around age 41, the people that respond are around that age. So kind of sometimes I'm tailoring it to who is responding the most and to what, but I think that it's I think that it's all of the above because I'm really thinking about it, how I'm layering it into my marketing strategy and what I'm trying to do it for. And sometimes it depends on the audience. So hope that helps.
Hi, just to build on that, your engagement pillars are based on, or look like they're based on products. And how do you see digital engagement, like with your app, with your online banking, with RDC?
Yep.
Do you see that also as measures of engagement, but
absolutely.
yet not included as a pillar?
Actually, it's not up here anymore, but I would go back. The last pillar is manage. And manage is, it's probably was hard to see on the screen, and I didn't go over it, but that is exactly what you so online engagement, remote deposit capture, self-service. We saw that as a way, to get engagement, but not coming into a channel or getting more products, because obviously we have to figure out different, a lot of times these, someone can have a checking account opened 20 years ago, so you can't how do you also measure continued engagement? And that's one of them. And then we all know that the more we can get digital services to be used, the more efficient we can run. So that is one of the pillars. And actually we had a lot of internal debate because some people didn't want us to include that. And we got our way and it's on there. So that's our fifth pillar. And that one with the turkey that was on the chart, that's the one that went spiked when we put it in our frontline staff's hands. Yep.
You mentioned at the beginning of the presentation one of the major pain points for CRM adoption was dirty data. Do you have any strategies around archiving, cleaning, validating the data that goes into your CRM?
Yeah, one, have an amazing data team. We did already. That's the one thing is our credit union already had a data warehouse up and running 5 years before I even started this game. So I had that benefit of being able to do that. I also pay a vendor to cleanse my transactions, so that also helps. And just making sure to have the right people on your team that are OCD. I know that sounds weird, but you know what I mean. And so we're really oh, why did you call this field name this when there's the same, so we're all OCD about that. For anything new that's being implemented, we're just creating policies and procedures for any new field that gets put into our database. And then being very aware. I would say we're very data forward at Ameritrust, at least for our size of organization, and that helped us. But really, we did create a culture of data and how important it was way before we started the CRM journey. Okay. Well, thank you, guys. I know we're at time. We're over time. So.